People around here like to say the land remembers. They mean graveyards and old battlefields. They mean stories your grandparents won't tell you sober. I thought it was just southern poetry. Something folks said when they didn't want to explain why a place felt wrong. I don't think that anymore. Now, I think sometimes the land remembers you back. Sometimes it don't let go. My name's Mason, and I never meant to come back to North Georgia. I got out as soon as I could. Cheap apartment in the city, factory job, noise, and traffic and fast food. I kept the accent, but I left the red clay and the hollers behind and didn't look back. What pulled me home was a dead man and a lawyer.
Mr. Crew?
The lawyer asked over the phone. Yeah, that's me.
You're listed as the sole beneficiary to a property in Catoosa County. Belonged to your mother's uncle, Elijah Crew. Ring a bell?
I remembered pipe smoke and corn liquor and a quiet man who stared at windows longer than normal. There was a cabin, a few acres, the lawyer went on.
Area locals call it Blackberry Hollow. I need you to sign some papers, make a decision, keep it, sell it, or walk away.
If I'm honest, I was thinking sell it before he even finished talking. I figured a chunk of land, even a scrub, might be the first smart financial thing that's ever happened to me. First warning sign hit at the gas station, off the interstate. I grabbed a coffee and a couple of cheap breakfast sandwiches and told the woman at the counter, heading up near Chickamauga, gotta look at some land out in Blackberry Hollow. Her hand paused on the register. Excuse me? She asked. Blackberry Hollow, I repeated. You know where that is? She looked at me for a long second like she was trying to decide if I was stupid or cursed. Yeah, I know where it is, she said. Ain't much left up there anymore. A lawyer says I inherited a cabin, I said, shrugging. Figure I'll clean it up and see what it's worth. She slid my receipt across the counter, but she didn't let go right away. You listen to me, she said quietly. You don't stay in that hollow after dark, and you don't go picking. You hear anything call your name out in them thickets. You didn't hear it. I gave this little nervous laugh. Yes, ma'am, I said. I'll keep an eye out for bears. It ain't the bears, she said. Second warning came at the county office. The clerk was one of those old boys that looked like they'd been behind the same desk since before you were born. Name tag said Darvin. You the Crow relation? He asked when I gave him my name. That's what they tell me, I said. He slid a mail envelope over, bulging with keys and documents. His fingers tightened before I could take it. You don't owe that land nothing, you understand? He said. You look at it, you do what you gotta do. But you don't let it talk you into staying. It's just a patch of woods, I said, trying to joke. I'll survive. Darvin looked past me, at something only he could see. You start hearing familiar voices in them blackberry bushes, he said. You turn around and go home. You don't answer, not even once. I should have listened to both of them. Instead, I got back in the truck and drove. GPS gave up first. The road narrowed from pavement to gravel, gravel to dirt, dirt to a pair of ruts barely wide enough for my tires. Trees leaned over, pine, oak, sweet gum. Strips of gray moss hung down like old spider webs. Then the blackberries started. Not little roadside sticker patches like I grew up seeing. These were walls. They rose twice my height on either side of the lane, thick and dark. A living fence of cane and thorn and leaf. Some canes were brown and dead, some bright green. Some already heavy with berries. That didn't make sense. It was too early in the season. I rolled the window down, and the smell hit me. Green and leafy. Yeah, but underneath it, a sour tang, like wine that had gone off and mold on the fruit. I kept going. Blackberry Hollow dropped away beneath me like a bowl, and at the bottom of it, half sunk into the slope, sat the cabin. From a distance, it looked normal enough. Tin roof, shallow porch, single story. But as I pulled closer, I saw the land was trying to swallow it. Blackberry cane had crawled up the posts, across the steps, through gaps in the porch boards, and vines as thick as my wrist, thorns like fish hooks. Some, with berries, were so small and hard, others were big and dark, almost purple-black, drooping heavy. Wrong for the time of the year. I killed the engine and just sat for a second listening. No birds, no insects, no distant road noise. Just the whisper rub of thorns on top of thorns as the wind moved through the brambles. I opened up the envelope from the clerk, title paperwork, a rough hand-drawn map, one old brass key, and a piece of notebook paper, creased and soft with age. My name was on it, in tight, blocky letters I recognized from childhood Christmas cards. Mason. Under it, in those small all capitals 3 lines. Don't answer when it calls. Don't eat what grows out of the season. And don't prune what grows at night. Signed, Elijah. The paper shook just a little in my hand. I told myself it was the drive, caffeine, nerves. Okay, old man, I muttered. You were always dramatic. The cabin door stuck, but opened with a hard shove and a cough of dust. Inside smelled like old wood, cold ash, and something sharp and green under it, like crushed stems. The front room held a couch, a sagging armchair, bookshelves along one wall. Most of the books were wrapped with damp, speckled, and with mold. A Bible lay face down on a little table, candle wax melted beside it. And in the far corner, the blackberries had come inside. They punched through between the boards, canes crawling along the interior wall, across ceiling joists, looping down like veins. White blossoms and little berry nubs dangled where a ceiling fan should have been. I frowned. Hell of a gardener, wasn't you, Elijah? That's when I noticed the notebook on the table. An old composition book, spine taped with duct tape. On the cover, written in thick marker, Blackberry Hollow. Notes. I flipped it open. The early pages were neat. Dates, weather, little sketches of leaves and root systems. Patch 1. Thorns unusual. Curve inward. Fruit sweeter, but spoils faster. Patch 2. Roots braided, all canes connected to a central mass. Not normal. Further in, the handwriting got shakier. Heard Mama's voice in the thicket. Mama died 12 years ago. Berries out of season. Juice black. Smells like sour with vinegar. Root mind. That's what it is. One mind. Many briars. Last entry barely stayed on the lines. I can hear it under the house now. It learned my voice. If it talks to you, boy, it ain't me. It knows our names. The room felt smaller suddenly. The air heavier. I put the notebook down very carefully. I told myself, it's just an old man getting strange and lonely. Wilderness does that to you folks. You stare at plants long enough, you start giving them personalities. I told myself that. Then I went back out for my gloves, my machete, and the pruning shears. I figured the best way to feel normal was to work. First job, clear the porch, then a little space around the cabin so I could walk without getting ripped open. The sun was high, light hitting the hollow at an angle that made everything look closer. The air in the bowl sat still, heavy and damp, like it didn't want to circulate. Started with the canes crawling over the steps, cutting and piling them up the one side. Up close, they were even stranger. Most blackberry thorns curl back towards whoever's reaching. These, some of them hooked inward, towards the center of the cane. Little translucent points like they were made to hold on to something inside the plant more than outside it. The berry cluster brushed against my glove, juice smeared across the leather. Too dark for unripe fruit. Almost black. It smelled sour, metallic. Wrong. I shook it off. Just rot. I said out loud. That's all, just rot. I don't know how long I worked. Long enough that sweat soaked through my shirt and my shoulders burned. The pile of cut cane grew waist high, and that's when I heard it. Mason. I froze. The machete hung halfway through the stem. The voice came from beyond the cabin, down where the blackberry walls toward the thicker. A woman's voice, soft, gentle, dragged a little on my name like a thumb over a bruise. My mother's voice. I don't mean kinda like hers. I mean exactly like hers. Every worn edge, every bit of tired kindness, the sound of Sunday mornings and sick days from school. Mason, baby, she called. You coming to help me, or you just gonna stand there all day? I went cold all over. My mother had been in the ground for 5 years. I watched the dirt hit her coffin. The hollow didn't know that. My tongue felt stuck in the roof of my mouth. Every part of me leaned toward that sound, like a plant to sunlight. The notebook's first rule screamed in my head. Don't answer when it calls. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. I didn't answer. I didn't move. Leaves rustled. Cane shifted. You hear me? The voice asked again. Closer. I squeezed my eyes shut and swung the machete. Snip, slash, pile the vines. The voice didn't like that. Mason. It said sharper now. Don't you go away from me. I kept my back to it, muscles shaking. Every instinct I had wanted to turn and look, just to see, just to know I didn't. That was the first time I ignored the hollow, not the last. As the day went on, other voices tried. The high, reedy chuckle of my grandfather calling me boy and telling me to come have a look at something. An old buddy from school laughing like we were 16 again. Once, worst of all, my own voice. Casual and close. Hey, over here. You missed the spot. Each time, I kept my mouth shut and my eyes away from the heart of the thicket. By late afternoon, I had a decent ring cleared around the cabin. Enough space to pace without getting hooked. Enough cut cane piled to my left to look like a small car made of thorns. The sun was still above the trees, but down in the hollow was already starting to go dim. The third rule on Elijah's note nagged at me. Don't prune what grows at night. I told myself I'd head out before it even got close to dark. Maybe stay in town, come back in the morning, decide what to do. Before I did, I wanted to cut stuff going. I didn't want to look at it. Didn't want to think about it trying to reroot itself. So I dragged an old rusty burn barrel from behind the cabin, wrestled armload after armload of cane into it, and doused the top with lighter fluid. The smell made my head swim, chemical sting on top of sour berry and green sap. I struck a match and tossed it in. Fire flared up quick, greedy. Leaves shriveled, berries swelled and burst with soft popping sounds. Smoke rolled out, dark and oily, curling low to the ground before drifting up. The sound underneath started small. A thin, high whine. Not quite animal. Not quite air in a pipe. As the fire got a bit deeper, the pitch climbed. It layered over itself, harmonics building until it stopped sounding like heat and started sounding like something in real pain. Like the whole pile was screaming. My grip on the lighter tightened. "That's just plants," I said through my teeth. The smoke slid across the ring of cut stumps and brush. They shuddered. Every cane, every leaf. A rolling ripple through the thicket, as if something huge had just drawn a breath underneath them. The screaming cut off. The vines in the barrel slackened, going from withering to limp in a heartbeat. The silence after was worse than a noise. And then, deep in the hollow, where the blackberries grew thickest and darkest, something moved. Not a deer, not branches. Something got up. Elijah's handwriting flashed before my eyes. Root mind. One mind. Many briars. It learns. The sky above the rim of the hollow had gone orange. Down where I was, shadows were already reaching long. A line from that note hammered at me. Don't prune what grows at night. I kicked dirt over the fire until it choked, grabbed my pack and hid it inside the cabin. Heart too loud in my ears. Told myself I'd rest a little, then go. That was the plan. The hollow had a different plan. Inside the cabin felt different. The blackberry canes in the corner were still, but not in a way sleeping things are still, or like. They were waiting. Found some old canned food in the kitchen and a bottle of water under the sink. Labels faded. Hunger won. I heated some beans on a little propane stove. Ate. Washed it down with some lukewarm water. My body felt heavy. Muscles trembled from the day's work. Just an hour, I told myself. Just close your eyes for an hour, then you drive. You'll beat full dark easy. I stretched out on the narrow bed in a small back room. Boots still on, pack within reach. Elijah's notebook rested on my chest. I meant to just blink, and everything went black. Something touched my ankle. Light. Testing. I came awake all at once, heart slamming against my ribs. The room was dark, but a sliver of moonlight cut across the floor from the grimy window. Dust floated in it, slow and lazy. There, sliding through the pale stripe, was a vine. It eased under the bedroom door like it had all the time in the world. Glossy leaves, thin thorns that glowed faintly in the light. The end of it lifted and tasted the air like a snake's tongue, and then it started searching for the bed. For me. All the breath went out of my lungs. I rode off the far side, hitting the floor hard. Pain shot up my hip. The mattress sagged where I'd been just a second before, and the vine struck, thorns punching into the fabric with a series of tiny, greedy pops. I scrambled up and yanked the door open. The hallway beyond was full of green. They were everywhere. Blackberry canes had forced themselves through the cracks in the walls, under the door frames, between floorboards. They braided along the ceiling and traced the corners like crown molding made of thorns. Leaves brushed against my shoulders. Thorns whispered against my jacket. They'd grown while I'd slept. Had grown fast. I didn't have time to be delicate. I shoved through thorns, snagging my clothes, ripping at my skin. One vine wrapped around my ankle, and a single thorn punched through denim and socking into flesh. White-hot pain shot up my leg. I kicked loose, feeling something tear. Warmth ran into my boot. I limped for the front door. battered aside a curtain of briars, fumbled the deadlock with the shaking hands, and threw it open. Cool night air hit my face. For one heartbeat, I thought I'd made it. Then, I looked out at the hollow. Everything outside was awake. Every patch of blackberry bramble I'd seen that afternoon was moving. Not swaying from the wind, no. Moving. Cane after cane pulled itself up, levering whole bushes into new shapes. Thorns reoriented, some curling inward, some outward, like a sea of hooked fingers flexing. Clusters of berries swelled, some bursting with soft, wet pops, juice dripping black on the soil. Shapes rose from the thickets. Tall, gaunt silhouettes loomed in the moonlight, each one made entirely of woven brambles. Bodies of twisted cane, arms that tapered into bundles of thorns, heads crowned with leaves and studded with fruit. The nearest stood at the base of the porch steps. It was at least 7 foot tall. Its face was a mass of clustered berries, glossy and dark, arranged just enough like eyes and a mouth to make my stomach turn. As I watched, a few of the clusters shifted, swelling and shrinking, flexing into something like an expression. It tilted its head. Berry clusters split wetly, arranging themselves into a crude, glistening smile. When it spoke, the voice that came out was my mother's.
Mason,
it said.
Oh, baby, look at you. You came home.
My knees buckled. Behind it, another figure pulled free of the thicket. This one broader, shoulders made of braided canes thick as fence posts. Its berry face kneaded itself into something hard and disapproving. My grandfather's voice scratched out.
Boy, you've been cutting where you don't understand.
More shapes gathered in the dark, each with different berry patterns, different tilts to their heads. A crowd of scarecrows made from the living thorns. The porch boards under my feet creaked. I glanced down. Blackberry canes had wrapped themselves around the posts and railings, rooted in the ground, spiraling up towards the supports. They started lacing across the porch, crossing the doorway behind me, weaving themselves into a net. The cabin wasn't a shelter. It was part of them. Part of the root mine. I tried to step back and slam my shoulder into the wall of thorns that hadn't been there a minute ago. They scratched my neck, nicking skin, little kisses of sharp heat. The mother thing stepped closer, cane joints creaking.
We missed you,
it said, voice full of someone else's memories.
We've been growing so long down here. All we ever wanted was to share.
In my boot, my ankle wound pulsed. I could feel something moving in there, twisting, hooking. Heat radiated up my calf like I had stepped into coils. I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, "You're not her." The berry mouth sagged a little at the corners.
We're more than her. We're everywhere that fits us. Everyone that lets us. Everyone that lets us drink blood.
It leaned forward.
You know how else you taste, boy. You know what your heart does to us.
A dozen smaller canes whipped across the ground, reaching for the porch, climbing. The mother thing, the bramble mass pulsed like a single massive heart. Elijah's word came back to me. Root mind. One mind, many bodies. And I'd heard a piece of it in that barrel. I glanced at the truck. It set right off to the right, half circled by brambles that hadn't finished knitting themselves into the solid wall. The grandfather thing moved closer, thorns ticking on the steps.
You run.
It rasped.
You just read us, Father. Root my muscles.
For a second, through the panic, something ugly and stubborn in me laughed. "Good," I said. "Then you know what that truck is." I dove sideways off the porch. Thorns tore at my sleeves and open lines of fire across my skin. I hit the ground on my bad ankle, vision whitening at the edges, and rolled in a shower of dirt and heavy berry pulp. Vines snatched at me, wrapping my wrists, my boot, my pack. I tore free, leaving threads of cloth and skin behind, and staggered towards the truck. The closest briars lunged, cane shooting forward faster than any plant should move. One lashed across my back. Another curled around the side mirror, trying to yank the truck sideways before I even got inside. I yanked the door open, threw myself in, and slammed it just as a thorn punched the glass hard enough to crack it. Keys, ignition, please. My hands were slick, shaking, but I got the engine to turn over on the first try. The truck roared. Blackberry vines dragged across the hood, thorns squealing on the metal like nails down a chalkboard. The mother thing raised both of its arms, and a dozen canes whipped over the roof, slapping the windshield in a rain of leaves and juice. It yelled in my mother's voice, breaking for the first time, the edges frayed into something deeper, inhuman. I slammed the truck in the drive and mashed the gas. For a second, it felt like I'd hit a brick wall. Tires spun, gravel spitting. Vines tightened, groaned, dug in. Then, something under us tore. The front lifted, lurched, and the truck leapt forward, ripping whole bushes out by their roots. The mother thing's arm got caught under the tire with a crunch that vibrated through the floorboard. Berries exploded across the windshield in a spray of black. The sound it made then wasn't anyone's voice I recognized. It was older, raw and furious and hungry. Vines lashed the sides, cracking the windshield further, denting the doors. But the truck kept going, battering through the bramble walls lining the lane. Thorns screeched along the paint and left long white scratches. Juice smeared the glass, streaked with the moonlight. In the mirror, I saw the shapes straining after me, like waves trying to follow a boat. But the farther I got out of the hollow, the less solid they became. The walls of blackberry sank back into the night. The silhouettes collapsed into ordinary bushes. The last sound I heard from Blackberry Hollow was that layered, whispering rustle, like 1,000 thorns dragging through dry leaves. Then, even that was gone. I didn't stop until I hit the first gas station with lights on. When I climbed out of the truck, my ankle almost gave. I half hopped, half fell into the bathroom and locked the door. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I sat on the closed toilet, dragged my pants leg up, and bit the inside of my cheek so hard I tasted blood. The wound should have been a puncture. Maybe ugly, maybe swollen. Instead, it looked like the plant had taken my body as a suggestion and went from there. The skin around the thorn hole wasn't skin anymore. It was raised and rough, gray and green, edges splitting into tiny cracks. In each crack, something darker gleamed, like sap. From the center of the wound, a tiny sprout pushed out, delicate, bright green, 2 little leaves unfurling, trembling with every one of my heartbeats. Blackberry. I reached out and pinched it between my fingers. When I pulled, pain knifed up my leg, fast and deep, as if I yanked on a weed whose roots went all the way up to my hip. I almost blacked out. The sprout didn't budge. Sweat poured down my face. I leaned over the sink and retched until there was nothing in my stomach but acid. When I looked up, my reflection looked wrong. Too pale, eyes bloodshot, veins in my neck darker than they should have been. Just a little. A faint branching pattern creeping across my collarbone, like the shadow of vines under my skin. I washed my face and the water beat it differently, tracking along the lines I couldn't see, but I could feel paths being laid. I thought about going to the hospital. I pictured fluorescent lights, the smell of antiseptic, a doctor's baffled frown, surgical gloves tugging at that sprout, cutting, probing, lab techs scraping cells onto slides, talking about unprecedented tissue behavior and aggressive growth patterns. I pictured the root mind learning their voices, their routines, their homes. It had learned Elijah. It had learned my mother's. It had learned mine. Why not more? My stomach turned again. I wrapped my ankle in gauze from the truck's first aid kit and told myself it was just until I could figure things out. I knew I was lying. Days blurred after that. I didn't go back to Darwin to turn in the key. I didn't answer the lawyer's calls. I drove until the hills softened and the blackberry thickets along the roadside turned back to scrub that looked ordinary. I carried the blackberry hollow with me. The sprout on my ankle grew. Within 2 days, it had put out more leaves, darkened. The barky skin around it spread up my calf in a ring, veins branching out underneath, darker and darker. By the end of a week, the bruised-looking veins reached my knee. Walking felt strange, like I was sharing my leg with something else. Sometimes when I lay still at night, I could feel a slow, twisting motion deep into the muscle. Roots settling in. I started wearing long pants no matter how hot it was. A month out, I woke to sharp pressure in my chest, like someone pressing the eraser end of a pencil into my sternum from the inside. In the mirror, I lifted my shirt. Tiny, dark bumps had risen under the skin, along my ribs, clustered near my heart. At first, I thought they were just bad bruises, and then one of them pulsed. If I pressed very gently on the largest, a smear of dark fluid came to the surface, right under the skin, like I wanted out. It smelled faintly sour, like overripe fruit. I laughed then, a dry, ugly sound. Of course, I told my reflection, of course you're growing berries. When it rains now, everything inside me comes alive. I can feel it. The sprout in my ankle throbs. Little pulses firing up my thigh. The veins under my skin itch. The clusters along my ribs tighten, swell, relax. Sometimes, I swear, I feel something under my tongue, a tingling, as if roots are mapping their way through my throat. I don't dream normal anymore. I dream in voices. My mother's, my grandfather's, Elijah's, the gas station woman, Darwin, hell, people I passed at the store, strangers I've never met. They're all calling my name from somewhere just out of sight. Always from behind the blackberry bushes. Always from the shade of some hollow I don't recognize. Then I wake up. The inside of my cheeks tastes like I've been chewing stems. I moved to another state. Rented a cheap place in a flat little town with no hollers and only manicured landscaping. Used the last of my savings to pay first and last month's rent. It didn't help. In a strip of weedy dirt behind the building, a single blackberry cane had sprouted. No one planted it. It just appeared. The first time I noticed it, it was barely knee-high. Thorns already forming, curling in, not out. I stood there and stared at it until my chest started to hurt. The next week, it had grown another foot. No one else in the complex seems to see it. Sometimes when I walk past, I taste sour fruit on a breeze that shouldn't smell like anything but exhausting hot asphalt. Sometimes the leaves tremble when I get near, like they're excited. It's like they recognize me. I'm telling you all this for one reason. I want you to understand that I didn't escape. I drove out of Blackberry Hollow, made it past the county line. I crossed state borders. I changed my address, my routine, my whole damn life. Blackberry Hollow came with me. It's under my skin now, braided into my veins. The root mind's planted a piece of itself in my body and let me walk away. You know what you call that? A seed. A cutting. A starter vine. I don't know how long I have left before it finishes doing what it's doing. Every day the clusters along my ribs get more defined, darker. Every day it's a little harder to catch my breath. Sometimes, when I sit very still, I hear a faint wet popping sound inside my chest, like berries ripening where organs used to be. I can't go to a doctor. I can't risk scalpels and sample jars and curious minds poking at the rot and giving it new paths. It wants intersections, hospitals, hell, cities. I'm not going to be the one to hand it that. So yeah, my death is coming. Not the sudden kind. It's more like a growing kind. One morning, soon, I'll wake up and the skin over my heart will be stretched too tight. Something will split, juice will leak, thorns will push through, curling outward to meet the air. And then, I'll stand straight up. Not as me, not completely. As something wearing me. A briar scarecrow in my own skin, and I'll walk. Blackberry Hollow doesn't want me back. It wants me outward. Down sidewalks, through ditches, past backyards, along chain-link fences and abandoned lots and forgotten edges. Anywhere there's a scrap of dirt and a little water. Anywhere the land can remember a new name. So, if you ever see blackberries growing where they shouldn't, too early in the season, too dark, too fast, and you smell that sour, wine-gone bad stink. If you hear someone you love call your name from a patch of bushes that wasn't there last year, don't answer. Don't go picking. Because I didn't escape Blackberry Hollow. It just planted me somewhere closer to you.